What's going on, everybody? It's been a couple weeks since I've been able to work on the Virago. It's Sunday morning and my wife's asleep and so is the kids, so I figured I'd sneak off into the garage and try to get some work done today and finish up the subframe. So where I'm at, where I took off, so I'm basically where I left off last time is I built the initial part of the subframe. I kind of rigged up the tank as best as I could for now. I still need to figure out how I'm going to mount this so I can remove it easily if I need to fix it or whatever. But for now I kind of like the way it looks. So it's not looking that bad. It's kind of straight. Obviously the seat needs to be risen up a little bit, or raised up rather. And I got to finish that. So my plan today is I want to take these small metal O-ring type things that I made here, or metal. I just basically cut a tip off of the tubular stuff. I'm going to weld it on to the end like this here, essentially to the actual subframe. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to weld basically a threaded nut that can fit into this so that it can just kind of sit there nicely, just to kind of give it a better finish. And then I'll grab a bolt that goes into that nut that I've welded to the frame. I'm going to weld a piece of metal up here, it's kind of act like a washer of some sort. I'll weld it to this thing and I'll clean it up, and then I'll be able to bolt everything in nicely. I'll do the same when I'm going to do the cross bracing to come down from here to there. This already has a factory threaded bolt, or nut rather. So I'm just going to try to use that location instead of having to weld anything more. And then I might weld another piece of subframe that's going to go from here to that piece, just to kind of give it a little bit more support if it needs it. Then I can work on the bottom half of the tray here under the seat. So I'm going to put a piece of metal, and then I'll be able to build my battery box and then hide all the wires under here just to clean it up. And then I want to go ahead and get a 12-cell gel battery. That should eliminate this, because this thing is huge. It's bigger than my hand, and a 12-cell is probably about this big, and it's really thin, so it'll fit nicely under the seat, and then I can clean all this shit up. And I was contemplating seriously about this exhaust, purely for the fact that I didn't want to bring it to an exhaust shop, but the more I look at this, the more I hate it. And I did find some random exhaust pieces you can buy off of Dime City Cycle that have all the pre-bends and all that stuff. So if you look at all the other Virago builds, you'll see that they have some pretty sweet exhaust setups. It's like just kind of comes around, from back here, and then it kind of comes up and over. This side comes up, they meet, and then they just come out as one pipe down here. So I'm going to try to do that with the pieces I can buy off Dime City. And then I'll be looking pretty good after that, but I mean, I'm still quite a ways away from that. This whole thing over here is going to take me some time to figure out. This is going to take time to finish. I'm still looking for a GSXR front end conversion here, because that's really what will set this build apart from the rest. I mean, it looks alright with that current setup, but I really want to make it look amazing. The scope of this project changed a lot. It went from kind of like, one of those sayings, good from far but far from good, to I'm probably not riding this anytime soon. And to be honest, I got that bike. I'm looking at grabbing another bike right now. I'm really liking the Triumph Thruxton R. I just need to find a dealer that has one, or if I can get one used. It just came out this year, but I'm going to try to get one of those for next summer. So I'll have two bikes I can ride, and this one's just kind of my project bike, just to really learn on and mess with, since this is the first time I've ever built anything like this. Also, if I get the new Gixxer front end, I can really raise this bracket for this headlight way up, because right now it's really low, and it just kind of looks really out of place. So you can see here, but I have a lot of space here to come up, but because of the bulkiness of all this old junk that they use for this bike, it really limits us to where I can place it. So I'd like to clean this up and get some new stuff. Still need to do the other turn signal, or rather the other hand control, get some new grips on the throttle body, new levers, because these are absolute garbage. I'll have to get a new master cylinder, but that will hopefully come with the Gixxer front end when I find one. That's a reasonable price. But that'll probably be the last thing I do, because I want to make sure that I can actually finish this project and do everything on this end of the bike and then focus on the front. If I can get the front going and I find the swap for a reasonable price, then I'll go with it. But for now, it's going to be in stages of finish the subframe, mount the tank, do the exhaust, make sure it all runs again, and then if it does, then go ahead and get a front end swap. These grips obviously need to change those. I still have the new handlebar control for the left side in pieces here. It's just kind of temporary setup so I don't forget which wire is what for now. So I'll get that fixed at some point once I clean this up. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and set up my welder and start tackling this. In order to get this to go on nicely, there's a bit of a gap. It doesn't sit flush, so I'm going to grab my grinder and I'm going to make some indents right at the top and the bottom so this can fit in nicely, and then weld in a lot better than just kind of having it like this where it's not exactly perfectly flush. I basically taped on the stuff I want to weld just to hold it in place here. I'm going to go ahead and weld it. Okay, so I welded on these pieces of steel here. So now it's like a kind of flush. I'm just going to go ahead and clean it up right now with the angle grinder. So that piece will act like a washer. Okay, I've been working on the subframe. So as you can see, I've welded up everything here. I just got to attach this front end to the frame somehow with the bolts. So I welded circles on there. Everything's tack welded right now. Do the same on this side. I finished up welding everything. I got the plates on here. I'm just going to go ahead and clean this up with the grinder right now. So I'm done welding. I've assembled it. I've assembled it roughly right now. So I didn't bolt the seat back on. Let me just take off the gas tank here. Okay, so it's on roughly. I've got to stretch out the frame bits here because Virago has a weird frame. It's the same size and all of a sudden just has a giant butt out right here. So I've got to stretch this over the frame, put on the bolts to screw into. So I built in like a built-in washer type deal on the subframe right here. You can kind of see what I did. Did this on both sides. Also did it on these things here. So it's going to sit like this. It's basically going to sit like that. It's looking pretty good.